Tomorrow it's the Fastnet race, and it looks like we're going to be starting in pretty heavy weather. The latest forecast that I've just checked has it us heading off into sort of mid-20s, gusting low 40s. So that's heavier than I've ever been out in before. And that weather isn't just for a brief period of time, it sort of sticks around for the next 12 hours. So what we've been up to this morning is we've been just ensuring secure stowage of all the heavy items, because tomorrow it's going to be pouring down with rain and we want to kind of get everything stowed whilst it's still dry. So that's what we've been doing so far. Later this afternoon, the sat phone is arriving and Ali and I will be going through that. I've never used a sat phone before, and obviously you want to minimise the amount of data that you're going to be using on the course, so we're just going to be thinking about how best to get grid files, what times to get them, what areas to get them, which ones to go for, and yeah, just to try and minimise the amount of data. And hopefully it should be pretty straightforward, but you never really know because you haven't done them before. So yeah, most things that I'm focusing on today are stowage, nav, and then a little bit provisioning towards the end, because there's still a few fresh bits on our list that we want to get as close to the start as possible so we can keep them going for as long as possible. So that's the plan for today. So we've got some dry foulies vacuum packed in a bag just in case someone gets absolutely drenched, and given that it's looking like it's going to be pouring down with rain for the first 12 hours of the race, as when it is peak windiness, might very well need that. Sort of got a seasickness pack here with some preventative things and also sort of re-energised things if someone does get seasick. Emergency pump in a very accessible location, some binoculars, our flares, harness, life jackets, foghorn, lots of the safety gear around here. Obviously our sail locker with lots of sails, a bucket because I don't think we're really going to be using the heads in 40 knots. We'll try not to have to use it at all, but it's likely going to be bucket and chuck it if anything. Then we've got our snazzy new hooks, our carabiners, with everyone's names on them so that we've all got somewhere to store and dry as much as possible our foulies and our life jackets, because historically it's just got really messy in the cabin, and people's stuff has gone everywhere, so it's quite nice to have designated locations for each of our things. So that's an idea that Ben stole from a boat he was racing with recently, and I'm quite excited to try that. First aid kit, sort of toiletries type stuff, because we are going to be racing for 4 to 5 days, so we do need quite a lot of that. Water, we've got a water maker, we are going to be refilling these, but obviously we can't really use that if in heavy weather, so we are going to have a bit more water than we'd usually start with. Obviously we'll have the emergency water too. Underneath this bunk here, we've got all the sort of provisions that we might not need for the first 24-48 hours, just trying to minimise the amount of stuff that can fly around. All our snacks, because we're probably going to be snacking our way through the first 12 hours, are just here so that they don't fly out when the boat's really heeled over. So they're all there. Other bits that we might need a bit further down the line are going to be in here. So sort of nuts, teas and coffees, breakfasty type bits, dinners. And of course dinners will also be in the fridge as well. But we've yet to do that yet. That's the sort of fresh provisioning bit that I've got to do later. And then we've got some lovely flapjacks that Will brought with him. And other than that, yeah, a lot of the bags in here, that's all stuff that's going to Cherbourg. You can ship it across so that you don't have to bring it with you on the race, which is really nice. Got our sort of hanging lockers. Chart table needs a bit of a tidy up. And yeah, either kit that people are going to be wearing or stuff that's going to be stowed in hanging lockers and bags. So at the moment, we're getting there. It's looking like a fairly tidy boat. So let's hope we can keep it that way. But obviously at the moment, given that none of us, apart from Will maybe, have actually raced in these sort of conditions before, and even under similar weather when it was looking like this for a previous Fastnet, Will said he retired. So at the moment we don't know whether we're actually going to finish this race, or even, given that it's, the first 12 hours at the hardest, how long we'll actually be in it for. So there are a couple of options that have been discussed. I think hopefully we'll go to the start line and see what it's like. If it's not as bad as forecast, then maybe we will continue. If it is as bad as forecast, maybe we will still continue and just see how it goes for a couple of hours and just constantly reevaluate. And I think the aim really from what everyone's been talking about is we see if we can get through those first 12 hours, those sort of 40 knot gusts. And if we can get through those, first 12 hours, the forecast gets really quite light and manageable. So the rest of the race possibly wouldn't be so bad, but you can only continue if, everyone's not been bashed about too much, not that, overwhelmingly seasick, and the boat, nothing is broken really. So I think it's going to be a constant evaluation of what we're seeing on the water, how people are feeling, what's the boat condition like, to see whether we even get past the first 12 hours of this race, which is exciting for my personal Fastnet, but obviously I've never been out in any condition like it. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I have full confidence that our skipper will make the right call. And ultimately, there's going to be other Fastnet races in future. I'd rather be alive to race in them again than take too much of a risk. And I think that's an important skill that one day hopefully I'll have to develop myself, about making the right calls. And you've got to do it on the basis of safety grounds and knowing what the crew in the boat are capable of. So I don't envy Ali. it's a tough one, and we've all invested. He's invested a lot into it, and we've all invested so much time and emotion into it as well. And I hope we do get to race, but if we don't, it's going to be disappointing, but understandable. And yeah, just got to make sure the right calls are made. So fingers crossed.